Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back with another video today. And since I showed off that Conan book yesterday with the Ralph Reese inks, I had these out because this was the first Ralph Reese work I had. And so I decided to, I just gave them a read and figure I'll let you see the insides, give you a little review of them. And we got lucky because just before I made this video, a friend of mine was over. And I have no idea that they don't say where any of the stuff is from that got reprinted here. But luckily, my friend knew some of the original stuff, and he pointed out. I think he said this story is from Web of Horror, the part 2 of 2 there. It's from Web of Horror, which was a magazine, a black and white magazine that was supposed to compete with the Warren stuff in the 70s, but it went out of business pretty fast. And some of the other stuff is from Wit's End, another black and white magazine, and some was even from National Lampoon. So here's the Ralph Reese work. Let's open this one up. Man Plant from the Tomb. Not sure. Otto Binder doing the, but you can see he's got a real cartoony style with this one. His style is changes from, so this one's, and you can see it was definitely from a black and white magazine because of the shape. There's magazines have a different aspect ratio than comics, and they're a little squarer, so there's a lot of space up the top and bottom. And this was just a neat little story about a guy discovering immortality, and of course it turns into a plant guy. So this is a nice horror story. You can see this really showcases Ralph Reese's sort of cartoony side. Oh, and then this one is weird because they messed this up. Midnight Muse. I'm trying to read this going, this makes no sense. Turns out there's a second page and it's supposed to read all the way across. They're supposed to be on facing pages. So it only makes sense when it reads all the way across. So it's like, yeah, I have to flip the pages back and, but it's just a little 2-page story. Oh, and I was also told by my friend, I knew these two people had to be someone. I was guessing since he worked in Continuity Associates, Ralph Reese, and obviously photo referenced this, and those guys used to pose for each other all the time. This, I think that's Bob McLeod, and that one is Pat Broderick. So Bob McLeod's in the red shirt and Pat Broderick's in the pink, or reversed. I don't think I've met either of them, but those are two comic book artists posing for that. But really, you can see this is photorealist, his photo reference stuff. Photo references. So just nice little 2-page story. Then we get into Phantom of the Rock Era, another horror story. And my friend also said that he thought that, this is photo reference too, look at that nice face. He thought that some of this woman's figure drawing was somebody else's pasted in. He wasn't sure, but he said it didn't look like Ralph Reese to him. And I can see why, because a lot of it is this real cartoony horror there and real horror there. And then we've got this sort of really, really pretty romance face. So maybe, who knows, maybe that was Ralph Reese. Maybe somebody did do patches on it and put it in. And this is also the first time this stuff has appeared in color. Since it was in black and white magazines, they colored it just for these editions, so it's pretty interesting seeing him. Not that I've seen him in black and white, but the color is pretty well done. They kept the color subtle. Nice monster. Like, good faces. Now I'm wondering if those are Ralph Reese faces, because I have no idea. Now here is Slime World, another story about the catacombs under Paris. You can see some real horror stuff here too. Real cartoon, nothing photo referenced about that face. But I must say I enjoyed the stories. They're all short stories. Oh no, a severed hand. You can see nothing. You can see that figure where you can see there's a huge difference between that figure right there that wasn't photo referenced and these figures here that were. You know, that's kind of, there's always going to be a stylistic difference when you're working from photographs or not. Yeah, some nice, I like that panel right there with the gate coming down. Let's flip over to, it looks like this cover is by Ralph Reese, and I'm betting that's Tom Yates. Tom Yates had sort of this Joe Kubert-ish style, so I'm guessing he inked that. And since it says TY there, I can't think of another TY, and it looks like Tom Yates' work. Jerry Siegel and Ralph Reese. Let the dreamer beware. Oh, this is a... But with this here, you can see how it was kind of never meant to be colored since it's all in shadow, and they kept the colors pretty mild. So that was the way to go with it. I think somebody named Tim Smith, whoever that might be, did the coloring, and I think he did a good job at them good job with it, keeping the colors subtle. Once again, you can really see sort of an EC Comics horror influence on Ralph Reese there. A lot of this drawing and this stuff. Like I said, the story, I don't see any real need to go into the stories. The stories are solid horror tales. Barf, this was the one that's from Wits End, and this one is really strange. I don't know much about Wits End. I've heard about it. I think it was a it was a counterculture thing, and I think it was there's some nice sort of caricature type drawing. I think it was I think Wits End was sort of it wasn't quite underground, but it wasn't a mainstream either. It's just he just went crazy with this storytelling here. He just got his cartooning and doing all sorts of strange panels, or strange. The panels aren't that strange. It's what's going on in the panels that's strange. This is just a really odd story here, and it's one of the ones I liked too. It was about, what was this? He was an insurance salesman superhero. Okay. Curse of the Yeti. This one may have been from the Web of Horror. This is a decent one. Once again, it's kind of a story that I've read before, in that it's about, guy hunts for the Yeti and he ends up being the Yeti. That sort of thing, but very well done. He's going with a little more, if you look at that Yeti in red there, a little more feathery, illustrative. So those two faces right there. One's cartoony, one's kind of more photo reference, but I don't think he used photo reference on it. Some nice rocks. You see here, once again, more of his fine line work going on in this one. So he looks like he would go between sort of really cartoony and really illustrative. The Skin Eaters. Oh, a different guy colored this one. Philip DeWalt. And this is sort of a horror comic style one where there's a twist at the end. Little fine line, not quite as fine line as that Yeti figure, but getting there. There's a nice lizard guy. I think that's the end. Well, there you go. That's just a quick look. I wanted to didn't want to go into too in-depth a review because they're all just fun short stories, but I'm sure you can find these in some dollar bin somewhere. Little Ralph Reese and Reese's Pieces.